Hi, welcome to another edition of our Paterno Presser. Cory Geiger, Neil Rudel. Before we get on to Temple, which is what we just finished talking about with Joe at his press conference, we'll look back quickly at Alabama. Very discouraging loss. Nittany Nation fan base is really upset, disappointed. They just don't win these kind of big games, Neil. And we saw another example Saturday that they struggle against elite competition.
Yeah, I think that's the most disappointing. You're not going to win all these games, but you expect when you're Penn State, you have this kind of environment, facility, and tradition, that you're at least in the game. And they're, I think, against the top five, I know they're 1-13, but 7 times they've been in single digits, and many of those times you're punching in a late touchdown to lose 37-17 or even 17-10. When you haven't done anything all game, and they really did very little beyond the first drive all game Saturday, and they punch in a touchdown to make it 27-11.
Now let's.
I was just going to say, I thought their defense competed well. They're not getting turnovers yet, but some of that, Joe kind of touched on this. I think some of it's confidence. Like Hodges was right there in the end zone, but he's really a first-year starter. So do you trust your instincts to break on the ball at that quarter second where McCarron, threaded that in there? I think that's all part of it.
Let's move on to Temple. This ridiculous quarterback rotation apparently is going to continue. For what reasons? I don't think anybody has any clue at this point. Joe said that he's going to play both. They're not going to name a starter yet. So here we are again. We're week 3, and they're still messing around, not being able to make a decision at the quarterback. That is beyond troubling and alarming. That's just really sad, disappointing. I mean, what in the world are they thinking?
I don't know whether is it part of the aging process where you're less decisive. He's obviously in the middle of it. It may be that really when they get out, he did touch late in the press conference on the fact that they may not have, like they went into the Alabama game kind of with a pre-scripted rotation. He kind of hinted, and you have to look through the lines when you're listening to him, of that they may not have 2 series here, 2 series for the next guy, that maybe they would play it more by ear, but that they would continue to try to play to. I don't know. I haven't really been overly impressed with either of these guys yet. I think Bolden played a little better the other day, but I would think Bolden would get the majority of the snaps regardless of what Joe said today.
Yeah, so do I. I would think Bolden might see close to 3 quarters, if not maybe even more. I thought up until Saturday McGloin had played just as well as Bolden, if not better at every turn, but I thought McGloin played himself out of the competition on Saturday. He was given many opportunities, and not only did he not look good, he looked really, really bad. I mean, he's done some things against some defenses in the past that we talked about, but he seemed completely overmatched. While Bolden didn't play well, but I thought he at least showed you enough to have earned a full-time starting spot for this game.
Yeah, they also may be in a situation where, Bolden has taken very hard shots, even against Indiana State the first week. He runs real upright. He doesn't get down. He almost had his head taken off against Alabama late in the game. So I think Joe probably wants to continue to encourage McGloin. Whether a lot of coaches would probably sit down and say, you know what, we resolved that. Bolden's going to start. McGloin's our backup, and we're going to kind of proceed from there. That's not Joe. We know that. But I think he probably wants to keep McGloin engaged because he has to.
Several players have said they've moved on from the Alabama loss, that the mood has been good. They're playing in the present, so that's all good. You expect to hear that. Stephon Green will not be with the team this week, Joe said. Joe, this was kind of surprising. He was not aware of the alcohol incident that Stephon was charged with last week that happened in July. So that's troubling that your head coach was not made aware of something that happened, 2 months ago. But Chimo Coley, offensive lineman, expects to play. Quinn Barham said probably thought it was just a mild ankle sprain. So that's kind of the news and notes of the week. But again, this is Temple. Penn State always beats Temple. Temple's gotten a lot better year after year. Al Golden's gone. But they'd better go in there and take care of business this week because there's a lot of frustration after losing to Alabama. If you go and mess around and lose to Temple, you're going to start having your entire fan base talking about a return to the dark years.
Yeah, I think there's no question. Whoever thought this is a must-win, I think the defense was justifiably angry about last week. That's why I do think that they will play well. But, I look at all these staffs. I think most coaching staffs outcoach Penn State because you have an older staff here that their motivation, I don't think, is what the staff of a motivation of a younger staff. And I think that you have seen a steady erosion of this program really for the better part of 15 plus years. So kind of everybody has out schemes and out plans and outworks this staff. I believe that. And so, has Temple closed the gap from the 9 points they lost last year? I don't know that. I mean, I do think that Penn State coming off the Alabama game is going to be motivated, but there's also an emotional letdown factor. You're going to be playing in front of probably 40,000 people, not 110. So, you looking for my pick?
We'll get your score prediction. Go right ahead.
What exactly do you want? I'm going to pick Penn State 28 to 12. I'm not ready to say that they're going to score 40 points. But I think their defense will play pretty well, and it'll be a little bit more lower scoring game. But I got 28-12.
I'm pretty much right on par. I'm 27-10. I think that would be indicative of a pretty decent showing. This Temple team is better than a lot of years past. Al Golden did a great job with that program. Steve Adazio's there now. I will say, and I've asked a couple players this, we'll have this in the mirror this week, got to feel really bad for Al Golden walking into a hurricane literally down in Miami. I mean, he had no idea what was going on down there, and a lot of people championed Al Golden for this Penn State job. So you feel good about the job he did at Temple, but feel bad about him getting in that situation there. But he did leave the Temple program in good shape. I'll go 27-10.
Joe did say, I don't know if you mentioned, he did say this is the best Temple team he's ever seen.
All right, for Neil Rudel, I'm Cory Geiger. Thanks for tuning in.